What is happening there, J Gamer Dude here, and I'm going to talk about something a little bit near and dear to my heart, which is Japan Studios, a Sony-owned first-party studio that was cranking out some fairly unique titles and were mainly used for support for the most part, but still had some pretty good ideas in their bucket. So Sean Layden, previous PlayStation boss, has actually come out to talk about the reasons why, but also why it's not surprising, because I feel like a lot of people can guess all of this a mile away. But even with that being said, it still doesn't hurt any less to know what happened, regardless of why it happened. So, before I get into the details, just wanted to say, hey, if you like my videos, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment in the comment section below. Doing all of that really does help the channel, and it helps push my videos into the algorithm. Let's actually jump into the actual details. So, it's been over 3 years since Japan Studios was closed and reorganized, but one former PlayStation boss thinks it wasn't necessarily a surprise, despite being sad about it. Japan Studios developed and contributed to loads of iconic PlayStation games in its time, from Ape Escape to Gravity Rush and Bloodborne. However, IGN reports in 2021 it confirmed that Japan Studio would be recentered to Team Asobi, which is actually a subset, like just a small part of Japan Studios, that kept going. And of course, they made Astro's Playroom, Astro Bot. I don't know to what extent they did Astrobot Rescue Mission, but there's that as well. So in an interview with IGN Japan at Gamescom Asia, Sean Layden, who previously served as president and CEO of SIE, before leaving in 2019, weighed in on the matter. So Sean Layden was one of the better guys, I will be completely honest with, because after getting someone like the last dude that we had, whose name I cannot remember off the top of my head, Jim Ryan, yeah. After having him, it really does seem like a breath of fresh air to see Sean Layden, to be completely honest. It's tough when a studio hasn't had a hit for a while, then they forget how that feels. You know, if you have a hit once, it's like a drug. Man, you're chasing the next one, right? And if you don't have that for a while, you forget what it feels like, and then you start to forget how to get there. So there's two possible roads. One, which was the one that was taken. The other was a real tough love program. Okay, and maybe that's what the Team Asobi thing is. Elaborating on this, he says that this path could be compared to pruning a bonsai. You can get it back down to its nub and see if you can grow it back out again, which I guess fair. Talent does kind of work in that way, where it can grow and become something beautiful, or it could grow and then completely fall off a cliff. It sounds odd to suggest, yeah, so basically the idea that he's going into just in this article specifically, because now I've practically read almost the whole thing, is that Japan Studios hasn't had a hit for a while, and unfortunately that's kind of what's contributed to the studio not doing particularly well, and was largely relegated to a support studio pretty much around 2017 onwards. And honestly, from his perspective, it seems like that the writing was on the wall when it came to Japan Studios, but ultimately they did get a very good result out of Japan Studios, specifically Astrobot Rescue Mission on PSVR, and of course Astro's Playroom on PS5, which turned out heads for everyone involved. So ultimately they did end up keeping Team Asobi around, however getting rid of everyone else from Japan Studios. And Japan Studios has been involved in too many different projects to even begin to list, whether it be stuff like Everybody's Golf, which I do believe we may never see again, because Clap Hands has now gone off to make stuff like Clap Hands Golf and stuff like that. While they were not necessarily owned by Sony, they were in sort of like a really good partnership for the most part, and it just seems like Japan Studios was never truly known for their hits. They were a very good support studio, kind of like what XDev was back in the day. It's just still sad to see. Hmm. Anyway, Lane goes on to talk about the actually the Japanese market, which it says, you can see that the problem across the Japanese market with other historically super talented teams that haven't tasted success for a while are still struggling to get back to it, pointing at Square Enix. As a developer that, despite making a good move when they abandoned their overseas development and publishing ambitions, they're still not out of the woods yet, and that's very, very true. So Square Enix did in fact sell off most of all of their Western games market, like teams, from stuff like IO Interactive to Crystal Dynamics, in order to focus on their homegrown talent in Japan. But even though that is the case, that they've managed to kind of slim themselves down to that point, they still need to start producing some serious bangers, some serious money makers, some serious things that can actually, bring up the dollar signs. So I don't know how Kiryu, the Square Enix current president, is going to be able to, mention that to the stakeholders. But it would be certainly interesting to see if they're able to, come back from the ashes. Because the question then becomes stuff like Final Fantasy, for example, which has had so many different types of titles, going from turn-based RPG to action-oriented to having some weird hybrid mixes in between. Would they be better off going back to just pure turn-based RPGs, which they do have a lot of in their staple of games? What does Final Fantasy look like to them? What is Final Fantasy to Square Enix, and how can they get that across to everyone else who partakes in gaming and to other gamers, markets, advertising, whatever have you? So it really does suck that ultimately, because games weren't doing particularly well, that a studio that is extremely beloved, albeit with a incredibly small subset of hyperactive fans like myself, it still sucks and is sad to hear. Sure, this was pretty much a matter of time sort of thing, but it doesn't hurt any less to know that they were always in a rough spot. With all that being said though, let me know what you guys think about all of this. Did you obviously manage to predict this as well? As to why Japan Studios went down, I feel like most people generally don't care, but every time I think about the mini Japan Studios games we've gotten in the past, it still hurts. The nostalgia is still there. The love is still there. Eco, Shadow of the Colossus, Everybody's Golf, Ape Escape. Jesus Christ, I've been involved in so many things, so many different types of games. We can make fun of Nobby Boy all we want, but then you have the Locorocos, you have the Parappa the Rappers. Bloody hell, man. There's some good stuff in there. You've got your Katamari as well. Oh, man. Yeah. Anyway, I just love making fun of Nobby Boy. But yeah. Yeah, so with all that being said, let me know what you guys think about all of that in the comments below. Like the video, like it, subscribe to the channel. I'm aiming for 400 subs at some point in the future. Not sure when that'll ever be. And with all that being said, I do miss Sony of the old. From 10, 15, 20 years ago. Nostalgia speaks loudly. Man, the PS2, PS3 games were really cool. I still actively play on my PS3. Like, currently I have Minecraft PS3 edition currently on the TV as I am looking at it right now. And it looks damn nice on I think this is a 60-inch TV. Oh, damn, I should have gotten a bigger one. But anyway, with all that being said, see you guys next time. I upload daily. Yeah, think about that.